Recently, Karen and I got to travel about 45 minutes northeast of us to an iconic house that's probably familiar to almost everybody this time of year. Back in early 1983, this home would be the setting of one of the most nostalgic Christmas movies ever made. So why don't you come along with Karen and I, the old man, and Ralphie to A Christmas Story house. The house is pretty much open year-round. Tickets are $15, and for that $15 you'll get a tour of the house, you'll get a background of the filming of A Christmas Story, how this house came to be, how it was stripped to its studs and painstakingly reassembled to try to match exactly what you see in the film.
Now, the first thing you may notice is that door is locked. We got a lot of locked doors around here. It's not a big deal. It's not that we don't trust you. It's that we don't have the staff around at all times to post people up all over the place. And so this story begins with a gentleman named Gene Shepard. He was eventually a short story author and radio personality. He grew up in a 30s and 40s environment in a very urban city in Indiana. He eventually, as I said, wrote a book of short stories called In God We Trust, But All Others Pay Cash. But in that storybook was the maybe slightly embellished tale of a childhood friend of his who got his tongue stuck to the flagpole in the wintertime. That sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it? All right. So there was a fellow named Bob Clark listening to the radio one day, and that story came on as a radio play narrated by Gene Shepard. So he got both production and directorial credits in those end titles right there. So he's got a story, they just need a place to shoot it. Now, they were imagining in their mind's eye a parade scene in the wintertime, like a Christmas parade around a department store, you know, downtown area. They also needed a very blue-collar neighborhood to put their family in. And so the problem here was that they were filming in like April, maybe March. So it was 3 or 4 months past the holiday season when everybody's already taken the Christmas decorations down. So there was one department store in particular that was willing to give them what they wanted. Anybody remember the name of the department store in the movie?
Big B's.
Big B's, yeah. That building still lives with us in spirit. You know what it is now?
Casino.
Yeah, it's the casino. So anyway, Higbee's was willing to give them what they want. They kept their Christmas decorations up for months past the holiday. Now they needed a neighborhood. They needed a blue-collar neighborhood. It doesn't get much more blue-collar looking than the steam coming out of the chimneys at the Steelyard Commons back here. I'm blurting on them, sorry. So anyway, they sent a scouting party to Cleveland. That scouting party got in their car, pointed at those smokestacks, and just started driving. Now, this is the early 80s. Best we can figure is they got lost over there somewhere. So the same traits that make this neighborhood a royal pain to park in also make it really great for shooting a movie. You can cut off these little side streets and you won't interfere with the main flow of traffic. This house in particular caught their fancy. Unlike every other home in the neighborhood, it's got a big picture window and that big wraparound front porch. I promise, look around. You won't see anything like that, all right? There's a lot of little examples of that, but this home stood out, and you can plainly see smokestacks in the background, especially coming to fall like it is winter, like we are right now when all the leaves are out of the trees. So they troll the neighborhood for a little bit, knocking on doors, asking about the neighbor in the perfect yellow home with that big picture window. And nobody knows. They either don't know, they know and they don't tell them, or they just don't answer their doors. So the scouting party gets hungry and thirsty. The Ralphie Inn was at the same spot then as it is right now. So they go to the bar across the street after work, as a lot of people do, I'm sure. They order something to eat and drink and they start talking about their day, as I'm sure a lot of people do at the bar after work. Guess who was sitting right beside them at the bar, heard about them wanting to find that neighbor in the perfect yellow home? It was the neighbor. He'd been there drinking the whole time they were looking for him. So anyway, they gave him their pitch. They say, sir, we want to borrow your home for 11 weeks. We want to shoot a movie there. We'll put you up in a very nice hotel downtown. And he said no. That was a firm no. We do not know exactly how many drinks to say yes. However, the $20,000 check they cut him right before that time probably had a little something to do with it. He took his $20,000, 11 weeks in a nice hotel, and what was probably a pretty ripping buzz at that point. And he gave these strangers he met in a bar his house keys, as anybody here would do, I'm sure. So anyway, they got inside, and they realized that as nice as this home was, it was not perfect for what they wanted. So if you can think back to a scene in the movie that supposedly takes place inside the house, but you cannot see outside of a window or a door. You can't see the neighborhood, you can't see nature. 100% chance that scene was shot at a soundstage in Canada. Right. Now, if you can see outside the front door, say, or a window, and you can see the outside, that means that that scene was shot at this home in Cleveland. Now, there may be some discrepancies in your mind with sizes, simply because the soundstage was dimensioned a little bit different. Also, this has always been a duplex. It was built in the 1890s along with a lot of the other homes on the street as a duplex, but it was portrayed as a single-family home in all of the movies you may or may not remember. So the dimensions are a little off. Also, we've changed it over the years. It's been stripped to the studs probably half a dozen times over its life. So anyway, they had their home. Now they need some actors and actresses to fill the roles. Darren McGavin was not their first choice for the old man. Well, their first choice was Jack Nicholson. Now, Mr. Nicholson had just made another movie based on a book written by a genre author named Stephen King. Anybody remember that one? Yeah, he did such a good job playing a dad in The Shining, they thought that would transfer over well to The Christmas Story. However, so about 20 years ago, the ancestors of the man who drunkenly passed his keys to those strangers he met at a bar, they put this home for sale on eBay. Our owner, who was another guy named Brian, made a bunch of money while he was still in the Navy selling leg lamps. That's how he made his bread. And he bought this home and then went over it for the next couple years, scene by scene in the movie, making sure that this home is as accurate to the film as possible. Now, we've got a bunch of the legitimate stuff that was in the movie in the museum, which we will be visiting next. In the meantime, this home is your playground. You can do whatever you want here. You can sit in all the chairs, wear all the hats. You can handle all the leg lamps, all of them, crawl in the crate, crawl into the sink. We've got a BB gun over there. We've got a blue bowling ball. Drop it in your partner's lap and take a picture. Have fun for about 10 minutes, folks. At the end of that time, I'll round you up and we'll go into the backyard. Somebody may have needed it, so we opened the door.
Randy. Hi.
So I just added a few bits and pieces from the tour guide's presentation, but there was much more to the story when you do take the actual tour. One nice thing afterwards is that they give you the roam of the house, so you can pretty much play with anything. You can crawl inside under the sink here, smoke out the old man trying to fix the furnace.
We use one of these all the time.
Flirt, rattle, rattle, I'm a flirt. You want him, rattle, be circle.
I was in high school.
Still worked.
My mom ran her hand through it, my sister ran her hand through it.
I've never met somebody who used one of those that didn't have
Yep.
scars on their hands and arms.
Or get worms if you're willing to try a piece of the raw turkey.
All I need is your ticket stub.
You can go upstairs, check out the rest of the house. You can go to the phone in the hallway and call the Swartzes.
No, he heard it from your son.
What? What? Do you know where he heard it? He heard it from your son. What?
Yeah, like right now is a good point.
I heard the car roar up the driveway.
No. And if you do, prepare ahead of time. Yeah.
Seconds later. Here I'm in the only room in the house where a boy of 9 could sit in privacy and decode.
Drink your Ovaltine. Ovaltine?
Down in the living room, Eagle Eyes are going to see that the Christmas tree is not exactly in front of the picture window like in the movie, but that's probably because the leg lamp here is still in one piece and intact, and that is the centerpiece for the house.
Well, give Randy a present, and I think I see Aunt Clara's gift to you right over there. She always sends you such wonderful presents.
It's hard to twist and
I know, I took a picture of those.
the new furnace. But right now it's floor to ceiling lately. It's just separate.
Oh, jeez, God.
Once you're finished on the inside, they go outside of the backyard where there's some familiar scenes also.
Shooting them one by one in the butt while they scrambled all over that shed and the yard in general before they retreated on horseback, which made sense when they were riding it. Now, a lot has changed here over the years. There used to be a house over here. They bought it, bulldozed it, pushed the yard over. That privacy fence has been pushed back maybe 15, 20 feet, and the shed's been moved around, all to facilitate better tourism. The only problem is they kept the privacy fence up a little high.
After the backyard, to talk a little bit about out front.
Is where Dad stood to admire his newly purchased leg lamp through the window. He was joined in that period of admiration by the neighbor Swede, who agreed with him. That's a nice lamp, sir. Swede was Bob Clark. That was the director. He decided about 10 minutes before that scene was shot that he wanted to become a movie star. So he wrote himself in right then and there.
To continue on, there's a museum across the street, which your $15 ticket will get you into.
All right, folks, welcome to the museum. This place is pretty cool. There's a lot of history here. So everything you see here under plexiglass is an original prop, costume, or is historically relevant to the film in some shape, form, or fashion. But the leg lamp was Gene Shepard's original idea. He was inspired because of the advertisements for a company called Knee High Cola. That was also Radar's favorite drink in MASH, if y'all remember that. Now, Knee High Cola's advertisements feature the stockinged stiletto calves of a woman wearing a knee-high skirt. You can see examples of their ads on the wall, and these nice people right here. Now, Knee High used to sponsor like crossword puzzles, word searches, stuff like that. And all of the prizes they give out had something to do with that stockinged stiletto calf. So the leg lamp was shipped to the old man in kind of an interesting way. It was shipped in two main scenes that we'll think about. And the crate that it was shipped in was gigantic. It was hauled up onto the front porch, slapped down, and the scene cuts. And then the next scene, the crate's sprawled out on the ground, and Dad reaches inside of it and pulls out that kind of anticlimactically small leg lamp. Now, they didn't know the crate was too big to fit through the front door until they actually tried. They didn't actually measure stuff back then, they just built it. So they had to cut 6 inches off one end, which is why if you're paying attention, when the crate's inside the house, instead of saying this end up fragile, it says his end up fragile all over it. And that's iconic, folks. That's the reason we've slapped that on almost everything we sell you in the gift shop.
Again, after a presentation, you're freely allowed to roam around the museum. This chalkboard was saved from the school before it was torn down, and the actual actress did come here to make an appearance and put her iconic A+++ on the board.
It has to do something with the fact that there wasn't any other Christmas movies or anything. Because, you know, this one, there was like 2 options. This one, Turner plays it on some station.
And No, this is not the exact fire truck used in the movie. It is the sister truck, same year and same model.
Holy cow, it's a fire department!
Continuing on in the museum, you'll find out about the Bumpus house next door, how these properties were purchased and refurbished. Plus filled with all kinds of nostalgia, from toys of the period to the actual props used in the movie.
My old man's spare tires were actually only tires in the academic sense. They were round. They had once been made of rubber.
Anything to do with it. They didn't even know where they were during half the filming. Like they had that deleted scene, and now the only parts of it are just pictures that we have later. And
So I highly recommend the tour. If you're a fan of the movie, if you grew up in that period, this is really a good tour for all ages. Now, if you have some time to kill before or after, there is a gift shop, which I think you're going to go in there and you're going to come out with something. Obviously, if you're looking for a leg lamp, there are various sizes of those. If you're looking for bunny sleepwear, you can find that. Bunny slippers, BB guns, just a lot of great gift ideas. There's also a whole section dedicated just to Christmas Vacation. So if you're looking for that moose mug to drink your eggnog out of this year, they got it. Thanks for checking out this supplemental holiday video. We appreciate everybody watching. Hope you enjoy and subscribe. And I triple dog dare you to hit that like button. A Christmas Story house is open year-round. We had ample parking next door where we parked at the Bumpus' house. But it can get quite busy during the holiday season, especially in the evening. If you're concerned about that, you can check out their webcam to see just how busy they are, give you an idea if there'll be a wait or not. So if you're in the Cleveland area or just passing through, it's well worth a couple hours to take out of your day.
Merry Christmas from A Tale of Three Cabins.